Welcome back to Network TV for episode 5 of our 11th season. I'm David Mabee, your host and marketing director at NCW Tech Alliance, where our mission is to harness the transformative power of technology and enrich lives and foster community growth across North Central Washington. Our commitment extends to the nurturing innovation, facilitating meaningful connections, and championing educational initiatives that empower our diverse community. In this episode, we're delving into a compelling narrative that bridges the realms of technology and community service. We're joined by Russ Alman, the Director of Communications at the Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center, whose illustrious career in the tech industry spans over 25 years. Russ's journey from providing technical support to a wide array of clients, including Fortune 500 companies, to his pivotal role in enhancing digital communications and infrastructure at the Senior Activity Center, showcases a profound impact on technology in the community engagement and support. Since settling in Wenatchee in 2012, Russ has immersed himself in digital communications, mastering social media management, web design, videography, and photography. His transition to the communications director role in the summer of 2023 marked a significant milestone where he now leverages his expertise in communications and is leading the drive forward for Center's mission. From implementing new membership management software to acting as the in-house IT liaison, Russ's work is instrumental to modernizing the Center's technology capabilities. Beyond his professional achievements, Russ's passion for photography, particularly sports photography, connects him further with our community. As a team photographer for the Wenatchee Wild and a contributor to various local events, his photography not only highlights his artistic talent, but also his commitment to capturing the vibrant spirit of our region. Today, we'll explore Russ's multifaceted career, his contributions to digital equity for seniors, and how his work at the Wenatchee Valley Senior Center is creating a more connected and technologically empowered community. Join us for an inspiring discussion on the intersection of technology, community, and service, and the transformative power of digital inclusivity right here on Network TV. Welcome back to Network TV. I'm David Mabee, your host, and today I'm joined by Russ Alman from the Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center, and you're the Director of Communications, correct?
Correct.
Welcome, Russ. How are you doing today?
Doing good.
Good. Okay, so I'll just dive into this. You moved to Wenatchee in 2012, and you shifted your career focus more towards digital communications, including social media, web design, videography, and photography. Can you kind of share what you were doing before that and what motivated your shift into the realm you came to in 2012?
Sure. Well, I actually had a degree, I have degrees in communications. I did my undergraduate in communications, my master's degree in telecom, which was really in the communications realm too, and they were non-technical degrees. But I had a lot of background in technology. I kind of grew up around computers. And when I moved to the West Coast, Pacific Northwest as a trailing spouse, I was looking for a job, and I kind of fell back on what I knew and went to work at a computer store. Really intended to get into teaching and training, but the opportunities kind of weren't coming up at the job that I was at, so I decided to go off on my own and start doing computer support, and that turned into about a 25-year career doing house doctor work, basically. I worked with everybody from had clients as large as universities and Fortune 500 companies down to, grandma and grandpa in their home kind of stuff. And that was the type of stuff I enjoyed the most, was doing the house call type of work. And so, yeah, I spent a number of years doing that. And but when we came to Wenatchee, I had wanted to make a shift for a while because I really wanted to start using my degrees again.
Right.
and I enjoy doing photography and video and that end of things. Around 2008 is the first time I saw Facebook, and immediately when I saw it, I was like, "Yep, this is where it's all going to be going." You know, and it kind of was on the front end of social media, and so I kind of. It gave me an opportunity to leverage my existing background in technology and transition over to doing marketing and communications again.
Yeah.
And that took a few years to kind of fully make that transition. But since we moved to Wenatchee, that was really my focus, was doing social media management, a little bit of website design, and then figuring out ways to incorporate my photography and video into that as well.
Yeah, I have I do photos, but more for fun. But that's interesting because social media, I became a social media manager because our company, at the time I was younger and they didn't have anybody to do it, and like they knew I was doing stuff for the band and things like that. So it's just kind of interesting how your path can change or move based off of just kind of a few specific things. Well, you serve on our NCW Tech Alliance board. What inspired you or interested you about joining that?
Well, a couple things. One was, I really, kind of as I've, I guess not matured wasn't the right word. That's the closest one that's going to come to mind.
Yeah.
As I've moved along in my career, I've kind of there was kind of a period of time where I wanted to kind of shed the geek image, because I'd done it for so long. But I have come around to it's like I have all that experience, embrace the geek,
Right.
So, but being in communications and having that technology background is kind of a unique set of skills, and I wanted to put that to use. And I also wanted to get some more leadership and management experience, and being on a board was kind of on my radar. I'd had people mention it to me before. I've watched the Tech Alliance. Actually, one of my very first connections with the Wenatchee Valley was through GWADA at the time, when I was getting ready to move over here. And so I've been watching GWADA evolve into the Tech Alliance, and how much it's grown and all the things it's doing in the community now. And I really wanted to be a part of that. Yeah,
it's amazing. I first heard about it when I actually saw the job open. I hadn't really followed it much, but it's one of those things where you don't realize how much amazing stuff's in this town until you start diving into something that is either uncomfortable to you or change the pace of what you're used to, I guess. Because now I see how amazing the Tech Alliance is, but then also how far it reaches to different companies and things.
Yeah, it was one of the things that I really that I saw early on when we were first looking at the area, and I was kind of putting out feelers, learning about the area. I was first of all, I was really surprised at the number of amenities that were available in a town this size.
Yeah.
But it became immediately obvious to me that there was potential here for us to grow in the tech sector. I mean, having access to cheap power and fast fiber and to have those types of things in a small community like this, and then the proximity to Seattle, it just seemed like a no-brainer to me that we would eventually turn into not necessarily a bedroom community, but a place for the people on the west side to come and work and play in the same place, and it's certainly playing out now.
We've been here 10 years and it's grown quite a bit, but I feel like it's still kind of a hidden gem with all those different things. I don't think people truly understand the power and all that stuff, and I think that's coming more, and it'll be interesting to see how the next 10 years progress in this valley. So with photography, particularly sports photography, you're saying it's kind of a paid hobby for you. You kind of talked about you've had the communications degree, but how did that passion really come to fruition here in the valley, and what kind of sparked that change beyond social media and that realm?
Well, I've enjoyed doing photography since I was a kid. I was a yearbook photographer in high school. I actually tried to shoot some sports in high school.
Yeah.
It was back, all manual cameras and black and white in the darkroom kind of stuff. And,
yeah.
But it's always, I shoot video too, but there's something with photography, and especially doing action photography, whether it's sports or events, being able to catch a moment in time is a unique skill.
That's pretty awesome.
And the funny thing is, before what really got me the opportunity to get into sports photography here was an opportunity came up with Wenatchee Wild to shoot their games. And at the time, I had all consumer cameras, and it was a real challenge. But now, even though I have professional level cameras, it's not an easy thing to shoot.
Right.
I mean, it's fast, and there's a lot of cross action, and then learning the game.
Yeah.
I grew up in Upper Michigan. You would think I would have been into hockey, but I was just a football guy.
Yeah.
And but I'm totally hooked on hockey now. And
Well, so this year it's changed. It must be quite a bit because I remember going to games the last couple years. Still fun to watch, but this is definitely another level of action and speed.
Yeah.
So have you found like maybe your tricks and tips that were working before, you have to kind of switch up now just because of how fast the action is? Or
not really, but yeah, I mean, it's noticeably faster. More fights, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Everybody think that's, but it's it's definitely a faster, higher level of hockey. But I enjoy it. It's more of a challenge, and now I'm shooting with other photographers that are, there are a lot of professional photographers at this level doing this stuff, and it's nice to be able to see their work and.
Are they open to giving you tips, or do you talk to any of them, or is it?
I haven't talked to any of them too much, but at this level of hockey, there's a different expectation in the league too, that you're not shooting just for your own team,
right?
But you're shooting collectively for the league as a whole. So whereas before I was really focused just on shooting Wenatchee Wild. I've got to shoot our opponents too, even if they're
during
winning.
the Wild game.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So I'm essentially shooting for both sides. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be a little biased towards our team, but I'm shooting for both sides, and that's expected from all the photographers in the league. So
yeah, makes a lot of sense. Okay, well, this first segment has come up really fast. We're going to dive in, we're going to come back, and we're going to dive into your role at the Senior Center and kind of get away from your photography, but I wanted to kind of get a feel for who you are and see how this all translates into what you're doing at the Senior Center. So we'll be right back after this message here on Network TV on NCW Life Channel. Welcome back to Network TV. We're here with Russ Alman, the executive. What are you? Sorry, what's your title again?
I'm the communications director.
Communications director at the Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center. It's a mouthful. You're spearheading efforts to provide digital equity programs for seniors. What sparked this initiative, and how are you leveraging your background to make sure that technology is more accessible and understandable for seniors?
Well, let me start off by saying I've been working with the Senior Center for over 10 years as a contractor, because we've been managing, in my previous business, I was managing their social media. We were even doing TV shows that you've probably seen, Vibrant Living, which we have done 8 seasons of, and plan to hopefully get going on that again soon. It's just been finding the time to work on it. But it's when I came in house, part of the reason that we decided to have me work there full time, it was sort of a mutual decision, was because of my background in technology. I obviously have the communications experience now, and I've been working with the Senior Center from a social media management. I built their new website, from that perspective. But having that IT background, they really haven't had anybody in either of those roles internally before. And so the intent was for me to focus on communication, but also do some IT help. But also that was an opportunity to help our membership, which is growing quickly, with their technology literacy needs.
Yeah. So just real quick, for the Wenatchee, for the Senior Center. I know we were talking off air. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around it. So what does the Senior Center actually provide if you get a membership?
Yeah. So there's a lot of misperception in the community still, even though they've been around for like 30 years.
Yeah.
The most common question we get is, how many beds do you have?
Okay.
We're not a rest home. We're not a senior living facility. The best way to describe what we do, it's like a boys and girls club for seniors.
Gotcha.
So it's an activity center. We have lots of different activities. The activities have been changing over the years based on who the senior population is. When that building was built, 30 years ago, the biggest concern was having a big dance floor for ballroom dancing.
Oh, wow.
Because that's what the World War II generation was into.
Yeah.
Now that the baby boomers are coming in, and soon to be my group, the Gen X,
Yeah.
they're much more interested in physical activity classes, and we still have things like, there's book clubs and there's canasta and there's mahjong and things like that too, arts and crafts. There's a book club, but there's a lot of interest in activity classes. And so what's happening right now is all that's happening in our social hall.
Yeah.
And it's like literally like a 3-ring circus in there sometimes, because there might be a Tai Chi class going on, a book club, and a mahjong group, all trying to use that same space at the same time.
That's interesting. Okay, so people don't live there. This is more for activities and things like that. So integrating technology there, could you share kind of like your vision for how that looks and how this can help them, help the seniors get more engaged, maybe with their families or my charts or whatever the kind of goal is there?
Yeah. So the need for technology has been, it's obviously all encompassing across all generations, but there are groups that are at risk of being left behind, and seniors are one of the groups. And I've seen this because of my previous work doing house calls. Actually, a lot of those people were seniors too that I worked with, and although some of the issues have changed over the years, the need is still there, but it's becoming even more important to be inclusive, because everything that we do now needs technology.
Yeah, online.
And when you have the tool, it gives you some great capabilities, but if you don't, you can be left farther and farther behind.
Well, and I think the further the longer you wait to learn some of these skills, the technology now is changing. Yeah, feels like daily. So it's important to keep people up to date with what's going on.
And it's one of the things I hear a lot from a lot of people, but especially seniors. It's always changing, and it can be overwhelming. And one important thing I think to remember is that computers and technology is a language, just like any other language. And that's why, when you have kids that grow up with it in their houses, it seems like it's second nature to them because they grew up with it.
Exactly.
It's just like growing up. If you grow up in a bilingual household, you're going to be bilingual.
Right.
If you grow up in a household with technology, you're going to have some literacy that comes out of that.
Yeah.
Imagine, and this is an analogy I've been using lately. I think is pretty effective. To explain how some seniors feel about technology. Imagine if I took you on a plane and I just dropped you in the middle of Tokyo, and you have no experience with the culture and don't speak the language, and just left you to fend for yourself. How would you feel?
Pretty bad.
It's a huge culture shock thing.
Exactly.
And this is exactly how a lot of seniors feel. There's fear. I hear a lot, I'm so stupid with technology. I hate that when they say that, because it's not true. It's just
you just haven't learned it yet.
You just haven't been exposed to it, and and you've been people literally are just throwing you down and expecting you to deal with it.
Well, I think something I've learned working at the Tech Alliance is it's super important to, and it's really hard not to, but walk them through it, but let them do it, rather than try to show them how to do it, and then you think they have it, and then once you're gone, they're like, I don't know what he did.
Yeah, and if it's something that's really technical that they're not going to have to see again, that I just need to fix, that's one thing. But definitely hands-on and having them walk through it and letting the light bulb come on, and that's a really important part of it.
What are some of the things? I'm assuming so you're doing these digital classes for the senior center. What are some of the? Do you have like a specific class, or is it really they're coming to you and asking you like, hey, can you help me figure out how to set up an email, or can you show me how to check my email? Or what's kind of that spectrum?
So for the last few years, we have had a guy who comes in, Bob Clark. He's local senior in the community that actually does house call work. And he's been teaching smartphone classes a couple times a year. They're always packed.
Right.
And doing it more as a classroom type of instruction. And I do want us to be able to do more things like that in the future, especially things that are application specific, so that there's a specific outcome to come out of it, like how to use MyChart, or how to how to do online banking, things that people really need to be able to do. There's I lost my train of thought. So what I decided to do to start out, to kind of get a pulse on what's going on, is do some one-on-one tutoring, because I have a lot of background doing that. But so I've started out by having a couple times a week, a couple of appointments in the morning, one-on-one with seniors, and they can bring their technology in.
One-on-one learning with their device.
Yeah, and I left it open-ended on purpose, and also, nothing specific about if they want to talk about their smart TV.
Right.
I mean, that's a real concern now too.
Yeah, you got to log in all your different subscriptions that you have.
They're all different and different systems, and getting them to talk to each other. But a lot of them are bringing their tablets or laptops, smartphones, sometimes a combination, different platforms. And so I'm trying to answer their specific questions at this point, partially to just get a feel for what the major issues are and major concerns. There's a lot of concern about security and passwords, and I've actually talked to a number of seniors who have been compromised with hackers or phishing schemes and things like that.
It's getting more and more prevalent.
And it's part of why I wanted to do this in a safe environment with one-on-one, because people will open up and tell you things. So it's really kind of giving me a good pulse on what the needs are.
Yeah.
And so the next step is going to be starting to make more group classes that we can augment that with.
Oh, cool. So as we get wrapping up here, how could somebody become a member of the Senior Activity Center? And what's the website, or what's the best way to get a hold of you to try to figure that stuff out?
Well, being a member, right now it's only $35 a year for an individual, $55 for a couple. And you can visit us online at WenatcheeSeniorCenter.com, or give us a call. Make sure I get the number right. It's 662-7036, I believe.
Okay.
I got it right. And we get you signed up for membership. We are, real quick note, we're starting a fundraising campaign to expand our building. Right now we have a thrift shop that's grown substantially, and it's our primary source of income. So we need it, but we need to get it out of our activity space, and that's why we're having this 3-ring surface problem right now.
All right.
So we're going to expand that, expand the senior center, put the thrift shop in a separate building, and then open up all of our activity rooms, so we'll have a lot more space to do activities in general. But I want to do more computer training and also upgrade the building so we're tech friendly for the future.
And so we can find out more about that on the website.
Yeah.
And then for today, thanks, Russ, for joining us. The Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center. Make sure to check out their website and find out, become a member, and then join in on these classes with Russ. And that's going to do it for this episode of Network TV. Stay tuned next week for another episode here on NCW Life Channel.